Hello and welcome to Diminishing Returns.
Ooh.
It's an odd week today.
It's a weird one.
My name is Alan. I'm joined by Sol here as always.
Hello,
And
Alan.
we have our
Listeners.
very special guest, Calvin Dyson.
Hello.
Ooh, Calvin Dyson.
Oh.
Always a pleasure, Calvin.
No, thank you for having me here.
But you're here because we need you
In an official capacity.
the OG diminisher. We need you here for something of a chapter break,
right?
Shall we say, in the life of this podcast? Because this is not a normal episode, everyone. I'm afraid.
No, sorry.
This is it's not goodbye. It's simply adieu.
Well, it's goodbye, but we're going to come back. I mean, that's kind of what,
Yes.
See you later.
Goodbye forever. Yeah.
So yes, basically, we've been doing this podcast for about 6 years now.
2016, we start June, was it? 2016, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so last year we kind of went down from an episode every week to an episode every 2 weeks, although we were still producing diminisodes to
keep things manageable,
keeping weekly content.
Because it's a lot of work producing the thing, trying to get guests, editing it. Editing's the big fucker.
Yeah. But the long and short of it is, we need a break. We're having a little hiatus. This is the end of Series 1 of Diminishing Returns.
I've got a vitamin D deficiency, so I'm really tired.
That is a factual statement.
That's an actual thing. So I need to build up my vitamin D levels, so I'm not as tired. So I've got energy to get us some stonking guests for the. This is the end, guys. If you can believe it. This is the end of season 1 of Diminishing Returns.
Yes.
This is like when EastEnders had to take a break because of COVID, and they were like,
"Did they?"
They were like, "Series 2 will begin like in a month or something," and it was like, "Wait a minute, what? Series 1 has been 35 years."
Yeah. That's exactly what we're doing. Season 1 was the first 182 episodes of Diminishing Returns, and season 2 will be the next 10 episodes, probably.
Yes.
No promises, but
the current plan is to come back at a not quite specified date and have a series ready to go. So have some episodes in the can ready to go out. 10 episodes probably we're aiming for.
Yeah, and I think when we come back, I haven't checked this with you, Alan, but I think when we come back, we'll be going back to weekly rather than fortnightly, because everything's kind of ready to go. We'll just put them out weekly. But the idea is I want us to have like good guests and well edited, well produced content. And if we were doing this every week, we would end up struggling to do that. There'd be a lot of just Alan and myself on our own. There'd be a lot of just like filler. We would end up covering all of the Ernest films in order.
And I'm not against that.
Yeah, but I know there are listeners out there who would really enjoy that, but you got to think about us showing this to new people and trying to look good. So sorry, you guys are going to have to suffer so that we can attempt to
and
keep
really
our brand.
It is more just about us having the time to do it in our lives. Things have moved on in the last few years. We've changed as people.
Yeah, I do podcasts for a living and shit, and it takes the energy out of one's sails.
Yeah, we've never really recovered from Calvin leaving, to be honest.
Oh. I was wondering how long that was now. That must have been like 3 or 4 years.
Episode 110 was the last one you did.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, like Alan says, we're going away for an undisclosed amount of time. We will be coming back, hopefully this year, but no promises, with season 2.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. The plan is we're going to maintain a similar production schedule to what we already have, but just no longer with the pressure of actually having to hit the deadlines that we set for ourselves. So in theory, stuff will start coming out again relatively soon. But also we need a bit of a break. But on top of that, we'll still do specials, We've set a precedent. We do a little Halloween special for Halloween. We do a little Valentine's Day special for Valentine's Day. I think we're still going to put those out, and they may or may not be tied to a season. I don't know. So, stick around, guys. There's still going to be stuff coming out.
So what I'm concerned about is that we have Patreon supporters who pay us for content.
Well, that is the rub here, right? It's a good rub. It's like a nice Nando's
happy ending rub.
Piri garlic rub. If you subscribe to us on Patreon, as many of you do currently, and receive bonus Diminisodes, which, let's be honest, we just recorded a Diminisode that was 2 hours long, so the name's a bit misleading. They're still going to keep going. And you guarantee one of those every 2 weeks. Occasionally we chuck out bonus stuff on top of that. And the reason for that is it doesn't really matter if we have like a fancy celebrity guest on those or not. The quality doesn't have to be as good. Fuck you.
Should we phrase that in a slightly better way?
They're a lot simpler.
No, because
they're more intimate.
Well, no,
Exactly.
it's because it's for people who
They're for
are
the fans who
are
like
our
us.
fans. We know that they are down with our level of humour and kind of more interested in our personalities, let's say, rather than particularly professional film review content.
Exactly. So if you enjoy the show and you enjoy us and you're sad we're going away, we're still going to be on there consistently. Check it out. £3 a month will get you access to those Diminisodes. As little as £1 a month will kind of help us out, help keep the lights on, help keep the archive up on SoundCloud, help us produce season 2. You will get stuff for that £1 a month tier. You'll get access to our classic episodes. You'll get the odd little treat. We put up a whole bonus Dumb and Dumber episode as an April Fool's recently on that tier. So yeah, head over there, patreon.com/dimreturns, and keep the party going. But yeah, we're going away. We're talking to some pretty good guests at the minute. It's just about working out the schedules. So so yeah, there we go. We're going away for a bit. We're coming back. It's amazing that we've gone 6 years without a break, frankly. Calvin, you'll be back, won't you, for season 2?
Of course, yes. For Bond and and for more as well. Whenever you guys think that I might be an appropriate voice in the room.
So yeah, there you go. And in the meantime, like I say, head over to patreon.com/dimreturns for more Diminishing Returns content. And it's pretty good, that stuff. If you've not heard our Diminisodes, we talk about a lot of modern releases in the cinemas. You know, we do some little experimental things. We of course did a scripted comedy special,
Comedy
starring
play.
Japanese Bond, and definitely not racist Liam Neeson. And just to give you an example, so you know you're not taking our word for it, we are now gonna play for you an entire Diminisode in its entirety. This is an old Diminisode. This went out years ago, so if you paid for it, you've had exclusive access to it for years. Stop crying about it. Get over it. Go keep subscribed, and we're giving you new shit. We just covered Doctor Strange 2, for God's sake. So yeah, here you go.
Hot off the presses.
Here's a classic Diminisode where we did a Q&A session, some questions sent in from listeners, including people who probably sent us questions and haven't heard this before because they didn't sign up to our Patreon. So if you're one of those people, here you go. This is a Q&A episode. I've got all your questions that you've sent in. There's been absolutely no quality control at all. They're all in here.
Oh Christ, this is going to be a fucking mess, isn't it? These idiots
So
asking.
I'm gonna root around and pick one out.
Don't tell us who asked the question until like after we've answered it. So then when I slag them off,
Do you want
I will feel bad about it.
Okay. Question 1. How did you all meet up together?
Okay, that's a fair question. All right, you can name this person because that's a sensible question.
That comes from Tom Patton, friend of the show.
Thank you, Tom
via
Patton.
our Patreon.
Yes, of course.
It's a good question.
We met at university. We all did the same course. We started in 2008. Is that correct? September 2008.
Yeah.
You two were 18, little spring chickens that you were. Little twink Calvin over there.
Yeah, you were an old man.
I was 24.
And back then we thought that was like really old. Like, oh God, can you imagine when we're Alan's age?
You were a mature student officially, weren't you?
Yeah. Meant I got a full grant.
I've been dining out on that joke ever since, so it's good, isn't it? Alan's old, but
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if you remember this, Calvin. I don't know if I've ever told you this story before, but when we first, like the first day, and it's like, right, come to this room. It's the big meeting of the thing. So everyone on our course was there.
Yes.
I walked in and I was sort of like thought to myself, I'm going to walk in there. Everyone's in the same position. Nobody knows anyone. Everyone's just like shitting themselves. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I'm going to walk in there like head held high. I'm going to sort of fake confidence and make it and get away with it. And I saw this very sort of shy, nervous-looking person, and I thought I'll sit next to him because no matter what, I'll feel more confident with him around. And that person was Calvin Dyson.
You've told us this story before, and you used I believe you used the phrase, "He's someone I can dominate."
Well, yeah, I may have phrased it in a more friendly manner now, but it wasn't like when you just sort of walk into a room, who shall I sit next to? Like, okay, him, I can sort of talk to him and feel confident.
Yeah, I get that.
That's nice. I'm very glad you did.
It's a natural sort of like, I feel like an alpha among these guys.
Yeah,
so I'm
I
gonna
guess
hang around
that's
with
it.
them. I'm gonna be a big fish in a small pond instead of trying hard.
Exactly. Now,
From my perspective, I was just sat there nervous, like heart in my throat, like so
I hope he sits
petrified.
next to me.
Ooh, look at that hunky man!
No, and then in strides this built, sort of swaggering man who like comes and parks himself next to me, and I think I'm gonna get beaten up.
Listeners, you will not know this, but Alan has quite a swagger on him. When he
Yes.
It's very to the point that he once did a film and they had to reshoot it, I believe, because his swagger was too funny in the crowd scene that he was in walking.
The problem was, in that particular scene, we were walking down the street, but we had to make it look like we were walking further, so we were making very unnaturally small steps. But then we had to make it look like we were walking, and my swagger was just too strong for such a thing, apparently. Now, if I recall correctly, our course was 70, 90 people, something like that. We got distributed into 3 different groups just for practical purposes. Now, Calvin and I were in the same group, along with some other friends of ours, and Saul was in a different group. So I don't remember meeting Saul until several months into our first year. And if I recall correctly, it was because Dan Straw, who has appeared on this very fine podcast, brought you to the pub quiz that we went to. I think that's the first time I properly met you, as opposed to just another face in the crowd.
I feel like it was through Dan Straw, yeah. But I remember the first night I really spent any extended time with you, and Dan's friend, who himself was a bit of an oddbod, was very unsure of you.
He was unsure of me.
Over the course of the night, he kept being like, "Let's get rid of that Alan guy because he's weirding me out," and everyone was kind of like, "Why? I don't get it." But now that I know you a bit better, I do get it. I do understand. I mean, I'll just say they have used your photograph to portray child molesters in other films. So
it wasn't a child molester; it was a rapist, an adult rapist.
So I think he was picking up on something.
I think that's classic trying to undermine the alpha male in the group. He was just obviously just scared of me.
Well, I was trying to think about you and me, Saul, like how we first met. I can't actually remember.
Were we both in? Was it the animation course that really shoved us together? I feel like
we were.
I think you were together before then.
Yeah, because we decided we were going to live with each other before animation course.
Oh, was that second year, the specialisms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely was before that then.
I must have just been at like parties and you were just there, and
was it via Dan again?
I think it probably was.
You and Calvin seem to have an immediate bond. One of bully and victim, but
Yes,
it's a bond
yes.
nonetheless.
And at that point in my life, I was so sensitive and just... Actually, you know what? I'm glad about the experiences we had. I think it hardened me, like that time you hid my nice trainers. And I thought they'd been stolen, and then it turned out they were just outside my door. But I remember having a go at you.
I still think back regularly to one of the first times I was round at yours, and you got a pizza out of the oven, and then you just dropped it on the floor face down. And you just looked at your pizza very sad. I still regularly think about that whenever I'm taking a pizza out of the oven. I'm like, I mustn't do a Calvin.
Yeah, I remember we watched Laurel and Hardy that night, didn't we?
Maybe.
Oh, what?
Possibly.
To make the night even worse. I do. For regular listeners of the show, you will probably be aware that Saul is a bit of an insufferable asshole, and he was a lot worse when he was 19. And Calvin has become a very strong, mature adult man now. But back when you were 18, you were quite the nervous Nelly, weren't you?
Yeah, very sheltered. Well, we've all sort of changed, haven't we? You wanted kids back then, Alan.
Did I?
Like, as in to have kids, not to, like, have sex with them.
I remember when Alan asked my advice on whether or not he should ask his girlfriend to marry him.
Oh, yeah?
Ooh.
So we have changed. Wouldn't think about it these days. Shall I just want to specify, we met at Leeds Metropolitan University, Leeds Met, and we were studying film production.
I believe it's called Leeds Beckett now, if you wish to follow in our
It is,
footsteps.
weirdly, yeah.
But yeah, we were film students even back then.
Okay, I've picked another question out. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's been the worst film you've talked about on the podcast? That's from George Lowe. George Lowe's?
George
Lowe?
Lowe.
Lowe?
Well, thank you, George.
Yes or not?
Yes, thank you.
That came via Patreon as well.
Join our Facebook group, because I don't recognise your name.
I mean, it's easy for me. It's Resident Evil Apocalypse. I can tell you right now for me.
What's the official answer, Saul, in terms of ratings? And then we'll sort of give them
in terms of lowest rated film?
I believe it's AVP Requiem.
Yeah, I think it is.
Which is my worst film that we've looked at.
Yeah, we gave that a perfect bad score. We all gave it 1 out of 10.
Why don't you? What about like on a more personal level? Like, what's the sort of one that was just like, oh, I can't believe this film is just. Ugh.
Yeah, probably that for me. I really hate that film.
Well, I as it happens, I've got a list of everything I've watched for the podcast, which I just updated the other day. It's currently 492 things on there, so I can have a little look at my rating. Let's have a look. Let's see what I've got.
Ooh.
Okay, my lowest rated things on here, which will be 1-star ratings. So my 1-star ratings are, well, I've got The Room, which, it's still a much more fascinating watch, but it's a terrible film. What can you do? The Happening, of course, M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening.
Yeah, that was bad.
Hacksaw Ridge, which I really hated, even though it was nominated for an Oscar. We did it because of that. Resident Evil, The Final Chapter.
Oh, that's unfair.
Aliens vs. Predator Requiem.
Yeah.
Halloween 6.
Oh!
Whatever that is.
Yeah, it's bad, actually, yeah.
Mother of Tears, which is the Dario Argento sequel to...
Yeah, that was a bad one.
And the most recent one was Addams Family Reunion, which we just did a few weeks ago. So in terms of the highest rated one of those in like by the rest of IMDb is Hacksaw Ridge. So I'll go with that one. That's the worst film I've ever seen.
God's Not Dead. Those ones are really bad.
Why are they not on my one list? I must have given 2. I think I know this will be of interest to our listeners. I think my worst Bond film we've done so far is On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I gave that 3 stars out of 10.
Ooh.
Saul, any more you want to add?
No, I just take Resident Evil Apocalypse. I mean, God's Not Dead touched some ethical buttons as well, but
yeah, of course, yeah.
I think worst Bond film for me was Thunderball, from what I remember. Not massively controversial, that one.
What's the most? I'm just trying to think of how to phrase this. The most we as a group have disagreed with popular opinion.
Ooh, the most like. Oh, right.
Yeah, because I know we kind of slagged off Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, we were pretty lukewarm on The Shining very recently.
Yeah.
This episode might beat that episode to air, who knows. But I think we were fairly fair on that one. Like you said, The Godfather was quite fair. Blade Runner, we weren't.
Yeah, that's true.
Overwhelmingly
the classics we
positive
have
about.
slagged off. Yeah.
I think in terms of like us liking films that haven't fared well under public opinion, like Alien Covenant, I remember us all being very positive on.
I think I was the weakest
3,
on it, wasn't I?
Oh, okay.
But I stand by that. I love Alien Covenant. I think it was great.
Blair Witch as well comes to mind as.
That is a bit of an opinion splitter, isn't it? I stand by.
Yeah, I think Blair Witch has always been quite a litmus test for the kind of film goer you are. I think it's Yeah.
And I just want to say we gave a good positive review to the Blair Witch Project before we managed to get an interview with the director. It's just by chance. But we did do an interview with the director as part of that episode. Of course, you can get all our back episodes at dimreturns.com or through your normal podcast.
It's all right, Alan. This just goes out to the Patreon listeners. They don't need us to keep hitting it home. We were quite positive about Pacific Rim Uprising, actually. Both you and I were.
Yeah,
I loved it, and you actually liked it, which was against
the type of film it is not my sort of thing really. It was John Boyega got me through it.
Right. Shall we have one more?
Yeah.
For now, let's have a look. This comes from Republicunt via Twitter.
Yes, I believe that's. Is that an Italian name?
Top 5 westerns of all time? ?
Westerns. Ooh.
I don't know if I've seen 5 westerns.
Yeah, westerns are quite niche.
Way Out West.
Ooh. my westerns list is gonna be like Back to the Future, Rango, probably something with zombies in it. Let me have a look.
Okay, I'm just looking at a list of Western films, and I've hardly seen any. I've seen The Searchers. That's like a proper Western, and that's a really good film.
The Searchers is very good.
I'm going to give you my top 5. I happen to keep a list of my favourite Westerns on IMDb. I keep a lot of lists. We're nerds. We do this shit. Alan pretends like he doesn't, but he's worse than I am, because my lists are like... oh, what are my favourite ones? Whereas Alan's are just like, what's every single film that won Academy Award for... acting.
Yeah, exactly. Yours
list.
are based on opinion, mine are based on fact.
Yours are just like, you could go on Wikipedia, but instead you put them all on IMDb yourself, like for no reason.
That's because I want to keep track of the ones I've seen. Right?
So tell me if you think any of these don't count. But my top 5 westerns are number 5, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's great.
Great film. John Ford, Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne. Oh, it's good. Lee Marvin. Number 4, Westworld.
Ooh.
Bit controversial. I think it counts.
Oh, it counts. I think it definitely counts.
Yeah. Number 3, Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Number 2, Unforgiven.
yeah.
That Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Oh, it's good, Unforgiven. I love Unforgiven. That's a great
Seen it for
film.
years, mate.
Neither have I, actually. Maybe we'll have to do it on there. And my number 1 pick, now this one I'm not sure if it counts or not. The Gold Rush. Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, is that a Western? He's a prospector in the Klondike.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what's the classification, really?
I don't know if it counts or not.
We lived with a guy called Connor, and he was making it very adamant that a Western could only have been a film made in like a certain period of time. And it was
I think
like
his criteria were for spaghetti westerns, but yeah, he was adamant that that was what a Western was. It had to be like shot in Italy between like 1940, and then Quentin Tarantino made Django Unchained, and it all went out the window, and he loosened up a bit. Well, if that one doesn't count, I'll have Puss in Boots at number 5.
Well, No Country for Old Men's on this list that I'm looking at.
Oh, that's not a Western at all.
Yeah. If I can go next,
Yeah.
this is in no particular order. I'm not a Western fan, so I guess Way Out West, that counts.
Yeah,
surely.
yeah, definitely.
The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, I think that's fantastic.
Great film,
The Searchers is probably there.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, really? Oh, it's good. It's like a proper classic.
I know, it's one of those real blind spots in my film viewing.
Yeah. Did we say that Django Unchained is one?
I'd say it counts, yeah.
All right, then that one. And
What about Cannibal the Musical?
I've never seen it. Probably Cowboys and Aliens. It's oh no, actually no. I would much rather watch Back.
Jesus.
I would actually much rather watch Back to the Future 3 over that. So yeah, Back to the Future 3 as well.
Yeah. Alan?
I haven't got a specific list. I must admit, nothing's jumping to mind in terms of my top film. I mean, the Dollars trilogy, they're all solid. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I did the Treasure of the Sierra Madre is more. That's another prospectors one, but
Yeah, that's my next one down after Puss in Boots. Big fan.
yeah.
Well, not big fan. Fan.
Yeah, none of these, I must admit, are jumping out as like, oh, these are going to be in my favourite ever list. But
Yeah. Western's a weird genre. When I was younger, I was very much like, I love all film genres apart from Bollywood and westerns. I think were like the two that I wrote off, and there was just something about the Western aesthetic that didn't excite me. And as I've grown older, I've really come round on the whole Western thing. I've come to appreciate how great Westerns can be. But I think it's because I watched a lot of shit Westerns, and then I started realizing, you can put a robot in it.
There was those genres that they just churned them out, yeah.
I think what annoyed me is that why is that a genre? And like that, Western is considered like a fully fledged genre, along with action and comedy and horror. But you don't think of, period drama in the same way, or films set specifically in the future, or
I mean the main reason that so many got made was because all the studios were based in Hollywood, and these big vast open plains were a 20-minute drive away, so it was very easy to go and shoot some epic stuff.
Tremors 4. That's on my list actually.
Very good.
I'll take
choice.
out
Very good choice.
Take out Back to the Future 3 for that.
What about Butch Cassidy, Alan? Do you like that one? That's a classic. True Grit, the Coen Brothers remake, seems like your sort of thing.
I was all right with the True Grit remake, but again, not gonna jump up into my best ever films list. No. Butch Cassidy, it's all right. It's been a while since I've seen it. What about There Will Be Blood? Does that count?
I wouldn't say so personally. I think that's like No Country for Old Men. It's set in the Old West, but it's not like really very. I don't know. It's a hard genre to pin down, isn't it?
Yeah. Shane was always a bit of a favourite.
You don't like Casa de mi Padre, where Will Ferrell does the whole film in Spanish, and that's the joke. That's the entire joke.
Yeah, I've never actually seen it, to be honest, so I can't slag it off too much, but I imagine it's annoying.
I don't think you'd like it. All right, well, that was 3 questions.
The Searchers, there you go. I'll go with The Searchers.
They were 3 questions sent in by you guys listening. Thanks for that. We'll maybe do some more of this in the future. Why not? Keep the questions coming if you want. I'll just keep adding them to the pot, and we'll pick them out. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, that was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Best one I've ever
Think of
heard.
that, Alan.
Top quality stuff.
Well, if you really like that, we've got two more Q&A Diminisodes just like that. In fact, one of them's not just like that. One of them we got our listeners to actually send in voice recordings of themselves asking the questions. It's even better than that one. And like I say, there's all sorts on there. Patreon.com/dimreturns. And we'll be back soon. Any other business, guys?
I just want to say thank you for the years, guys.
Aw. Don't treat this like it's a last thing. I mean, I've already left once before. I'm amazed that you guys. Wait, no, I'd never left. Really, I never left, as James Bond would say. Yeah, I'm amazed you guys have done it. I mean, I know that you went down to fortnightly a little while ago, but yeah, it's a lot of work, and particularly the editing of these things is it's brutal, as well as the research and the viewings that you need to do and stuff, because you want to be well informed for the discussions. So I think it's amazing, really. But I think that for quality over quantity, as it were, I think
that's the idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea, good plan.
So yeah. Come back soon.